Pumpkin spice is in the air, and we are going to make some jack-o'-lanterns today. That's right, super simple applique, fun like the pumpkin you see behind me on the wall, but even better, we are doing a jack-o'-lantern decorating contest. That's right, one lucky winner will win this beautiful bundle of Michael Miller cocoa fabrics. These are fat quarters, there's 25 of them, and I will tell you how to win this at the end of today's video. Let's get started. Oh, this is a beautiful bundle of fabrics. That is right. One of you will win this awesome 25-piece fat quarter bundle from Michael Miller Fabrics. This is our cocoa. This is one of our awesome new basics. Comes in 50 colors. This is 25 broke down for you. You see the rainforest version down there. But let's dive into today's tutorial before I get you all too excited about the contest. But the contest will be, all of you are going to decorate your what's up, Jack? Your very own pumpkin, and I've got all the parts and pieces you need except for the face, except for the character. That's going to be on all of you, and this is really just to have a bunch of fun. The Halloween holiday is right around the corner. We're in the middle of fall. We love our pumpkins. It's a super great craft project. You can do anything with something this size. Sample I've done. You can do a row of pumpkins and do a really cool table runner for your fall table. You can do a simple one like this. You can make a candy bag out of it. You can make a pillow. You can make a fun little window hanging for Halloween to encourage your trick-or-treaters to come by and get loaded up on candy, thanks to the Federal Dental Association's sorry, I'm just being silly. Okay, sorry, back to the tutorial. Let's get back into this. So yes, in the description below, we have this 2-page pumpkin pattern for you. This is what the finished pumpkin basically will look like, and scale and size and everything. These are the parts right here you need. So let me just point out really quickly, because I am being efficient, but we're also being symmetrical. It makes life easy, makes tracing easy, pattern easy, all of that stuff. For the center, you're going to use the light fabric. You're going to use medium cocoa, right? Maybe better if I just did it this way. So for the center, we'll do our light fabric. For the middle, we'll do the medium, and it says right here on your pattern to make 2. So you're going to trace 2 pieces of this. You can trace them in the same orientation because they are symmetrical. You don't have to rotate one. You're welcome to if you'd like. And then the smaller wedges on the far edge, those are the dark, and so we're going to use the dark. Now with the cocoa, like I said, it's 10 different color families. Each color family has 5 shades. So right here is the bank of the orange shades. So we're using the bottom 3, the darkest 3, to create our pumpkin texture. And then we're also creating this using the jet black. And then this is asparagus color for the green, which won't be in the winning bundle, but you can get it at your local quilt shop, of course. So this is fusible raw edge applique. If you're brand new to quilting, you've never seen a quilting video, this is what got me started on quilting, because it allowed me to think like an illustrator. Anything I could draw, generally it needed to be reversed. We'll get into that later. But anything that could be drawn could then be converted into fabric. It's like making wonderful fabric stickers. It's putting glue on the back so that things could be appliqued or applied into place and then machine stitched later on. So this is a really fun and easy technique if you haven't seen it before. One of the supplies that I always use is called Heat and Bond Feather Light. Heat and Bond is a fusible web. So what that means is it's a paper, or maybe I should better say it's glue with a paper backing. So when you're preparing your applique pieces, you're going to be tracing onto the paper side, which is the smooth side. The glue side has a little bit of a rough or tacky texture, so your hands will definitely know the difference, even if you can't quite see the difference on camera today. Okay, so at any rate, you can see now that I've gone ahead and literally, and you can do in different directions, the grain of the fabric won't matter because we're gluing these pieces into place. So you can really fit the fabric fit your designs where it fits best on your applique fabrics, and then where it fits best on your finish fabrics as well. So orientation isn't as important. So for my light, I've traced here my little green pumpkin stem there, and then you can see I've put my dark pieces and my medium pieces. But now that they have been traced, as you can see in the same orientation and everything, I need to go ahead and get them ready to put on the back side of my cocoa fabric. So I'm going to make sure that my iron iron is heating up over here, and because it's heat and bond, we want a dry, no steam, dry iron. Okay, so that's starting for us there. I used a Sharpie marker. I like the fine tip Sharpie marker because it makes a fine line, so I did that to draw on directly from our pattern pieces. As you see, I made 2 where it said to make 2. The next step I like to do, and this is a perfect use for my little shark rotary cutter that I invented, and if you need one of these, of course, you can get them in your local quilt shops. If you can't find it in a local quilt shop, you can order it from my website, robappel.com, link in the description. And what I'm going to do with each one of these is I'm going to separate, because with each new color family, I want to go ahead and put that onto a different color fabric, right? So for the green, and I'm just going to cut it so that I have very little extra fabric, or excuse me, extra paper around my applique shape. I don't need it, but I also do not want to cut right on the line, because I want to cut on the line once it is adhered to fabric. That way I get a very clean and finished cut. Now here I've got medium and medium lined up, so what I really want to do is I want to keep those 2 pieces together, like I did with my dark and my dark. So I'm just pre-separating them right now, taking away some of this extra fuse. And the reason I'm taking this off right now is I don't need this stuck to my beautiful fabric without any design on it, because then it won't do me much good. Take a moment and trim this down. And hopefully I've stalled long enough, because I really want that iron to be super nice and hot. Okay, so then with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start with my light fabric. And we're putting it on the back side. So here's the front side where all the print is. Now I'm going to get ready to put this on the back side. I pulled this literally right out of another bundle, right as a fat quarter, so there are still creases. So anywhere I see a crease in my fabric, I am going to want to knock that down. I'm going to want to iron that out. So I don't need to preheat my fabric, but I do need to pre-straighten my fabric before I put any glue on. Then I'll just go ahead and take my light, and you can see here, can't iron on the board, but you can see here, I'm going to position this right on the corner, basically as close to the edge as possible. And I do not want any of this fusible web to get on my ironing board, because it won't come off later. So I'm just going to take a moment, and now I'm going to take, and it's like a 1, 2, 3 count as I go across. And so I'm trying to heat each section up for that roughly that 3 seconds. You can also start to see just barely, and hopefully you can see on the overhead camera as well, you can probably see a little bit of that cool texture from the cocoa now coming through in the paper. So the paper has now become a little bit more translucent than opaque, gluing that down like that. Okay, so now we're on to our medium fabric. Same exact situation, and you can see I've already been here once, right? So maybe I can maximize that scrap piece and reuse it. It's one of my goals, and I certainly can. I can just fit that in right there like that, as you can see. And now I'm going to go ahead and just make sure this bonds completely. And the last thing I have already done is I've taken a scrap and put it on the back of some of our jet black. This will be where I create some of the face parts, the personality pieces for our wonderful little jack-o'-lanterns to be. Talk to you about a couple of the different tricks you might want to use, but we're just going to freestyle those. Of course, you're welcome to draw them out as you like. But I did not include them in the pattern, because that would have been cheating. If I gave you the face for your pumpkin pattern, then it wouldn't make much sense what we're doing for our contest, which is decorating our own jack-o'-lantern. And there it is. I thought I had lost my wonderful shark. Okay, back to work. Next thing, just like when we were cutting out the paper pieces, I'm going to pre-trim the fabric away so that it's just easier to work with, and I can just take and fold up my beautiful cocoa and move it for later. So I'm basically going to pre-cut down, and I try not to leave any fusible web scrap on my good working fabric, because I don't want it to accidentally come off and somehow maybe get ironed later on. So that's just partially management there. Now, while we're here, let's start talking about cutting through some of these pieces, okay? I'll show you a couple of different times. It's really, really easy. And of course, you could use your little 4-inch applique scissors as well in some of the spots you may want to. But for me, part of the reason I designed this was to help a lot of you that already have your awesome little 14mm rotary cutter, the Shark, learn how to use it better. So as a quick reminder, you have a nut on the back that can be loosened or tightened to make your blade have more or less tension. I like a little bit less tension on there, so I'm going to make sure it's nice and loose for me. And then when doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get it so that I have one piece at a time to be focused on. And then really what I want to do is I want to make sure the blade's on the inside of my body. If you're left-handed, you just move the hardware or the blade over to the other side, no problem. But as I'm working here, I'm going to keep my left hand for control over my actual applique piece. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to keep that blade right along the line. And as I'm pushing forward and kind of giving a little bit of an arc motion, I'm also moving the fabric here with my left hand so that I can get a really nice, smooth, clean cut. You don't have to do every cut in the same motion, right? Just like anything, I can cut that first inner arc, and now I can come out here and I can cut this outer arc, right? Very simply. Okay, so that's already one piece cut, and that's partially, like I said, why I designed the pattern the way I did for you. This is going to be very good practice, get you more comfortable with using your Shark cutter. So now I'm going to come in, I'm going to cut this loose. Okay, just like that. Some of you may want to be using your Efficient Susan cutting mat. No problem with that. I have done both ways. I find that I like having something pretty solid underneath me to work with. But either way, really it's having that left hand or your opposite non-dominant hand moving the fabric that also really, really helps. So let me show you that again real quick. So cutting, and again, you can just see I'm most comfortable with this inner arc first, and I'm cutting all the way through, just like I got my base hit on softball Saturday, ran through first base there, and then back around. The other thing I don't know that I pointed out is you'll notice there's a dorsal fin on the handle of our Shark cutter, and that's where my finger is putting a ton of pressure, and that gives me a lot of control. This is for freestyle cutting. I wanted everybody to be able to do nice, intricate, easy movements like this with their cutter and keeping it nice and safe, so that's why I invented or developed, however you want to hear that, this tool this way. Cuts wonderfully. Let's finish off this outside medium. Just like that. And then in fairness, those are easy cuts. This will not be. So let's kind of show you how I would deal with something like this. And part of it might be to grab some scissors also and tackle it, but I'm not too concerned. It's generic enough. So let's do what we can do, which is some of the easy cuts. And a lot of times I like to just kind of whittle away. So now if I think about this, and again, it's this pumpkin's stem, so it doesn't have to be exactly on the line. And the way I make most of my applique pieces, they really line up or overlap each other very nicely, so that's not much of a problem. Okay, that's a perfect example that I didn't want to do. Right now, I didn't cut right through, so there's threads, there's a few threads that are holding that corner piece together. And if I pull on that, it's going to make a mess, it's going to distort everything, so this is when the scissors come in handy. I'm just going to come in there and find wherever the problem was and cut that out. And then a lot of times, because now they're already in my hand, I'm like, to hell with it. Did I say that? I did. Okay, to hell with it. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out my scissors and just go ahead and finish. If you are cutting with scissors, if you don't know this trick, cut from the back of your blade all the way forward while rotating your applique shape through so that you have that when it's done. And I was gonna stall and come back with one of those fancy transitions, but we only have one last piece to cut. So let's just do it together. Save me all that editing later on. And there we go. Now for this oval, I kind of started on one of these longer runs, and then I did actually kind of cut it all in one cut. I cut around, and at this moment now I'm going to put both pressure in my right and left hand. I don't know if you can see my elbow kind of come out a little bit. And you'll notice I'm using a nice large cutting mat so I can kind of chase the shape around with the rotary cutter. as I go. For some reason, if it gets too far away from your body, as it feels like it is, just go ahead and stop, recalibrate, bring it back in nice and close where you're safe. And then you've got a nice shape cut just like that. Okay, so the fun of what I was saying is I did go ahead and prepare another ½ yard, or what I should say, really it's a fat quarter's worth of the jet black fabric, just like you see here on the wall. You could do many of the pumpkins, but you would want a longer rectangle, no problem there. So with my jet black, I'm going to leave it just on the corner of the table because I want my ironing surface underneath it so I can press when I'm done. I'm hoping you can see what's going to happen there real quick. What I'm going to do now is find my little stiletto that I love, and I always just kind of poke into a corner of the fusible web, and what I'm looking for now is I pull this back. Can you see how there's a sheen? The shine is now on the back side of the fabric, and if that shine's on the back side of the fabric, that's perfect. That means our glue is on the fabric right where we want it. So I'm just going to lay centerpiece in there right now. We do not iron anything until all of our pieces are in place, because once you iron it, if you iron it again and again and again, you're actually going to break down the glue, make the stick go away, and it will actually start to fall off. If you'll be working with batiks, or if you've ever worked with batiks, that's the thing that can happen with batiks just because of the way they're made. So be careful not to over iron your batiks. Now I want to point out, remember there's overlap on all of the pieces, so that means that the center light fabric is going to go on top of the medium fabric that fits the middle pieces. Let's just get that one off real quick for us too. And the overlap, the way I drew it, was roughly a 1/4 inch. I figured that was a measurement that we could all agree on. Okay, now, so I've got light, 2 mediums. Now we're going to do the darks. If you don't have a stiletto, I sell those too, but gosh, I'm being terrible today. You can use a seam ripper, you could use a purple fang, you could use just about anything, a nail file, something like that to help push. Just gives me a little bit of traction I need to be able to move my shapes around, my pieces around like that. Then just take a moment, make sure you center your face, you have a good look at your pumpkin, make sure it looks just right as it's going together. Don't forget to get that stem. The stem is definitely going to go under all of the orange shapes or orange pieces. And then it's time to start working on our face. So then what I do is I get everything so it looks just perfect, just the way I like it. So let me just take a moment and do that. Now, when we go to use our iron at this point, we don't want to be sliding it at all. We don't want to affect or move or distort any of our applique pieces. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right into the center. Okay, I'm just going to basically press and lift, press and lift. It's a bit like the bend and snap, if you know what I'm talking about. Yep, hopefully that got some chuckles out there. Always seems to. Make sure that's nice and secured, nice and cooled down, and then once that has done that, you can clean off your workstation just like I just did. And then of course, I want you to keep your pumpkin on an ironing station so that you can press your face pieces right into place when you've got your pumpkin converted into the jack-o'-lantern. But I want you to all be able to see the really fun and different changes that happen when we play with this jack-o'-lantern in just the styles and shapes of the face. So I brought in a couple of parts and pieces that I've already made, and you can see over here on the wall to start with, I've got some round eyes and a small little nose and kind of a round or small little mouth. It's just kind of that, expression, kind of that. Well, and you can look at emojis and get some great ideas, right? The first mouth I drew that I really loved, and I've already peeled the paper off the back of this one I got so excited about, is this dorky little one like this. It's kind of a really sinister kind of smile if you ask me, but you'll notice what you need to do is leave that negative space in there for the teeth. Just like when you're carving a pumpkin, you're looking and thinking a lot about your negative space. So here's kind of a fun one I created. And so if you want this guy to look pretty sinister, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that triangular nose upside down, and we're going to put these eyes in kind of at this angle like this. And you can see that the tweak of the eye, the angle of the brow, the shape of the nose, the proximity of the nose. Doesn't he look really mean now? Like, mean kind of thing. So that can really change the effect and the appearance of the pumpkin. We are grading on creativity, so emotion doesn't count. Creativity certainly does. So I just thought that would be a fun one to show. Eyes like this that are really a combination between triangles and circles can be laid in like this. You can flip the nose over. Now it kind of has like a clown look or kind of a sugar skull look, right? Let me show you a couple of other ones that I did that are really fun. This one here, really large, big, wide open mouth. That says smile, that says happy, that says, you know, check me out, and a really long nose. Kind of like Bert from the Sesame Street, if you ask me. Bert and Ernie, I love those guys. So at any rate, then I made a couple of these round, that kind of have round corners and the top is a pointy corner. So if you look at that pumpkin or that jack-o'-lantern, that's basic, that's easy, that's super happy, right? Well, we know you've heard about turning your frown upside down. So technically you could come back in here and make a really sad pumpkin if you had to. I'd prefer you not make any sad pumpkins, but you can because it's your pumpkin to make the way you want to. Right? And of course you can mix and match your shapes around a little bit. Play with it however you like. Leave a little bit less negative space in certain areas and have a blast. So here are the rules. This is the way we're going to do it. Today's video came out on the 20th of October, so I'm going to give you a couple of weeks. Basically, I am going to pick the best jack-o'-lantern based on creativity on October 31st. That's right, we're going to do it on Halloween. I'll make my announcement late in the afternoon that day. In order to participate, we want you to make a jack-o'-lantern. We want you to download the pumpkin pattern, make your own creative face, take a photograph, put it up on Instagram, and tag MMF Pumpkin Party. MMF, Michael Miller Fabrics Pumpkin Party. So use your hashtag MMF Pumpkin Party. Put that on your photo so we can see it. We can go and critique them. Of course, I will be judging them. You are not required to use Michael Miller Fabrics. However, you might get an extra nod from the judges if you do. But use whatever you like. Use up your stash. Be creative. Have a blast. And the grand prize winner, I will notify, I will contact, and I will make arrangements to send you one of these beautiful 25-piece fat quarter bundles featuring the cocoa fabric. And I forgot to tell all you, this was the cocoa fabric I was using right here, but I think you all know that because I use it all the time and I absolutely love it. So at any rate, I'm super happy to have you all here. You know this is the time we're going to start having a blast with our holiday crafts. And you know I'd love to do my appliques and have fun with these kind of fall designs. Why is he still sad? I gotta stop. I can't end that way. There. I feel so much better already. At any rate, folks, have a blast, go nuts, make some amazing jack-o'-lanterns, put them on Instagram over the next week, and tag us, MMF Pumpkin Party. I'll check them out, I'll grade them all, I'll vote on them, have a blast, and I'll let one of you know you're the lucky winner, and we will see you next time at Making It Fun. Wow, you are still there. Thanks for sticking with me till the end of the video. I know, I get a little long-winded sometimes. But if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you check out a few of the other ones we've created. I think they're terrific. And of course, please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the little bell to be notified. I don't want you to miss a moment of the fun. Stay safe and happy sewing.